It is important for the people to learn email writing skills. A good email has increased chances of being attended by the recipient than an improper email. A good email has proper from label, bears an effective subject line and pre-header. The content of a good email is kept error-free, precise and informative in order to get fast call of action of the customers. The emails are made appealing and reachable to the customers by adding images relevant to the product and by providing them access to social media links. However, there might be a case when the customer or the recipient may not want to maintain any further contact with the company or the organization. In such cases, the user can easily unsubscribe the company or organization. Keeping the aforesaid point in mind, there are some strategies that one needs to know for writing a good email, which is enumerated as follows. First, write a meaningful subject line. Subject line is one of the important components of email, and before sending it out to the recipient, the sender must verify if the subject line is accurately defining the content of the email or not, and whether it is attractive enough or not to grab the attention of the customers. A blank or irrelevant subject line tends to drive away the attention of the reader. Example: subject, important, read immediately, incorrect. All cars in the lower lot will be towed in an hour, correct. Second, keep the message focused. Before initiating the process of composing an email, the sender must already be aware of the purpose of the email. That is, if it is a complaint email, proposal email, applicative email, etc. The sender must know the type of recipient the email is being addressed to, if the recipient is formal or informal conversationalist in nature. The content of the message should be kept simple, and use of ornamental or flowery language should be avoided. Use of short paragraphs within the content of the email is encouraged. Third, avoid attachments. It is advisable that instead of attaching informative attachment with the mail, the important information is provided to the recipient by the sender within the content of the email itself. This is done in order to save the time of the recipient. Attaching informative attachment with the email is avoided as it consumes data more than that required for reading a simple email that bears no attachments. There might be a possibility that the attached data may contain viruses. The attachment does not always open correctly in case the email is being accessed from portable devices, such as mobile phones. The sender may be required to install some specific software beforehand for accessing and reading the attachment. Fourth, identify yourself clearly. It is important to know and understand the nature of the conversation. An email sent for an informal communication is highly different from the one sent for a formal communication. The sender must properly analyze his or her relation with the recipient and send the mail accordingly. While contacting a cold person, the sender must maintain politeness and briefness. If asking for help from a stranger for free, the sender must prepare itself for getting no response. If contacting the people outside the organization, the sender must sign off the email with a signature line, which includes the full name of the sender along with a social media profile link. Fifth, be kind. Don't flame. The choice of words that we make while writing highly displays the emotion of the writer or the sender while writing. If you are angry or furious while writing an email, it is advised to take a step back and cool down the mind temperature before restarting the work. It is highly undesirable by the recipient to receive an email that is improper or under-informative or the one which displays irresponsible for the client. Therefore, it is important to keep a check over the contents of the email before pressing the send button. However, if in case the recipient replies with an angry email instead of a polite and information-relevant mail, then the reply email recipient can bring the name of a person under the notice of the angry email sender to whom he cannot show disrespect of any kind. Try to bring about a change in the conversation and get the angry correspondent to focus on more important things like finding a solution to the problem, etc. Sixth, proofreading. It is important to check the content of the email for mistakes like grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, punctuation mistake, etc. A spell checker will help in rectifying typo mistakes but will not be able to catch hold of all the types of error. No one would want to send an erroneous mail, especially when it has to be circulated to dozens or thousands of people or has to be sent to a higher authority. When in doubt, or when you want to be sure that the email is devoid of every kind of mistake, it is advisable that the sender gets the draft of the email checked by a close associate. Seventh, don't assume privacy. One of the common mistakes that the people tend to make is that they begin to consider email as a private conversation. However, it is important to know and understand the fact that the case is not as such. Proper precautions should be taken while sending an email. Use of appropriate language for composing the mail is a must. Secrecy of email accounts should be maintained, and important details like password or security questions should be kept conspicuous. Also, while giving an excuse or a reason or telling the truth over an email, exaggeration of the story or the truth should be avoided, as by sending an email you are creating a piece of solid written record that the recipient might use for determining whether the person has complete information about the truth or not, the person is purposefully trying to make a story or not, the person can be considered a reliable source of information or not. Eighth, distinguish between formal and informal situations. It is important for the sender to distinguish between their formal and informal clients and hence make conversation with them accordingly. While sending an email to an informal colleague, use of non-standard punctuation and spelling and abbreviation like LOL, laugh out loud, etc. is acceptable. However, in cases where the recipient expects a formal conversation, use of formal language is found appropriate. Ninth, respond promptly. If you want to appear like a responsible and courteous person within a work setting, it is prudent that you reply to the sender within a short interval of time. This is mandatory even in cases where the sender might think that he or she will not be able to deliver the work on time. A respectful mail stating, for instance, "Sorry, I'm too busy to help you now," or anything similar to this is necessary. 10th, show respect and restrain. While sending an email, it is important to ensure that the content of the email is not vulgar and the dialog boxes dealing with information related to the subject line, pre-header, and the to line should be properly entered so that the recipient is able to attend to the email quickly and understand it properly. Often sending out email is a very fast process and may even create confusion or misunderstandings between the sender and the recipient. Therefore, it is important to take the proper time to read and understand the email before rushing towards sending a reply to it.